Can I go for live? All right, awesome. We're live.
Yes.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining our first ever Fireside Chat today with our guest, Chase Bank. Really excited to have these guys as affiliates again this year. Lots of great stuff going on. And I'd like to introduce Paul Pachowski, the lending manager with 33 years of mortgage industry experience. He's currently managing New England and upstate New York, 25 home lending advisors and assistants. Welcome, Paul, and thank you for supporting our local realtor community.
Hey, Dino, thank you very much for having us. And thank you, Jen, for setting this up. Really excited to be here today. Excited to introduce you to a few of my colleagues as well. So we're going to be hearing a little bit today from several individuals that work for Chase. Ashley Moore, she's actually our community manager. She's going to be talking a little bit about some of our community involvement and what we're doing across the country and that as it pertains to that. I also have three of my team members on the line as well. We call them home lending advisors here at Chase, basically quasi loan officers, if you will, but we kind of take that advisement approach. So you'll be hearing a little bit from Marion Crean. You'll also be hearing from Sandeep Rajguru and Jason Tack. So really excited about today to get the opportunity to tell you a little bit about Chase and some of the great things that we have going on in the Boston market. So thanks, Dino.
Awesome, Paul. So why don't we just go into some questions and we can just start the conversation. So tell us about Chase and their emergence into Boston market. What's the footprint of the region and how's business been?
That's a great question. I can tell you right now, there's so much excitement about what's happening in the Boston and really the New England market as a whole. That's one of it's actually our largest expansion market in the US. We actually broke ground and opened our first branch down in Dedham back in December of 2018. So we're literally just about a little over 2 years into this right now. And you guys can probably see the octagon popping up all over the place out there in the Boston market with the Chase Blue Octagon. And we're already up to 28 branches opened. Obviously a bunch right in the Boston market and many of the suburbs. And what we're really excited about within this market is not just zeroing in just on Boston, but the surrounding states as well. We're expanding into the Rhode Island market. We've already expanded into New Hampshire. We're also going to be in Vermont and Maine. And right now, as I said, we've got 28 branches that we've already got open in the market. And by the end of 2022, we're going to have an additional 26 to 30 more branches opening. So when everything's said and done by the end of 2024, we'll have give or take 60 plus branches in the New England market as a whole and about 20 plus right in the Boston proper market. So we're really excited about what we're doing out there and excited about the business that's been created out there. And yes, how is business? I can tell you what, business is booming. And not just on the home lending side, because I think everybody knows on the home lending side, mortgage business right now is booming based on our historical low interest rates. But I can tell you this, we're booming in home lending, but we're also booming on the retail bank side. On the retail bank side, we've been very well received within the marketplace. And again, we're getting new customers every single day. So we're really excited about that as well. So in a nutshell, extremely excited about the Boston, New England market, the expansion, and more importantly, kind of what we're doing out there and how we're doing it. We've had some really good success, and there's no doubt in my mind that success will continue. We're hiring people. My staff is actually going to be doubling. We're going from 7 individuals out there to 15 or 20 home lending advisors. And then obviously the retail bank branches, as we open those, we're hiring individuals as well. So it's great for the market as a whole from an employment standpoint, but also from an opportunity standpoint.
Awesome. And a brilliant partnership with G-Bar. Well done.
Yes, and we're very excited about that, to be partnered up with you guys. We love it.
That's awesome. Chase has been in the news quite a bit as of late regarding a $30 billion commitment to advancing racial equality. What does that path forward commitment mean for minorities? How is Chase helping communities of color?
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn that over to my expert in this space, Ashley Moore. She's been very instrumental in a lot of the things that we've been doing nationwide, and she's going to speak a little bit more to what those accomplishments are.
Hi, Ashley. The floor is yours.
Hi, Dino. Thanks so much, Paul. So yes, I am so excited about our Path Forward commitment. We have committed $30 billion over the next 5 years. And what does that actually mean? We are looking to increase racial equity for Black and Latinx households. So over the next 5 years, we're going to do an additional 40,000 purchases for the Black and Latinx community and 20,000 Black and Latinx refinances. And we are really committed to that. And that's why I've actually hired a team of community home lending advisors. And I wonder what you're probably saying, what is a community home lending advisor? Is exactly that. They're someone that's going to serve the community inside and out. Because with our Black and Latinx community, it's not just our low to moderate customers, it's also our affluent clients that fit within those guidelines. And so they're able to help all of those individuals. They're going to be doing financial literacy classes through our community centers, home buyer workshops, participating in housing assistance programs and down payment assistance programs for our clients to be able to use. And more importantly, taking the time to get that trust and consideration back into those communities. It's going to be working with those that have been underbanked or even unbanked over the past. And we're going to make sure that they're not only financial sound, but their home ownership is going to be sustainable. And so that's going to be having conversations with our bank, talking about different programs and products that we need on the banking side to be sustainable on the home ownership side, especially given those that have maybe never banked before. But what are we actually doing exactly for those communities? We have increased our grant to $5,000 in select census tracts. And so we're able to use that coupled with down payment assistance, if they're able to get a gift fund from a family member, as well as the grant itself. That can be used towards their down payment for a standard agency loan. It also can be used for their closing costs if they're looking at FHA and VA. And so I am so excited to announce that we've rolled out that $5,000 grant to 6,700 census tracts across the United States to give other individuals more opportunity. And that's just the beginning. We have a lot of different program enhancements and products that we're looking at, because if you think about it, we've had FHA, the same guidelines for decades and decades. Times have changed, individuals have changed, credit profiles have changed. Let's look at that change. So we have an entire team working with the GSEs, working for policy reform to make sure that we are hitting every single bucket for all of our individuals that are out there. And our true goal is to have sustainable home ownership. And that's going to take working with the community and understanding the barriers that are out there. And so that's a lot what I'm going to do. And that's a lot what my team is going to do all across the United States. So I'm so excited for our Path Forward commitment. And I don't think of it as initiative or anything along those lines. It's a new way of thinking. Everyone deserves sustainable home ownership. So let's reach those that maybe haven't been reached in the past. So that's just a little bit about our Path Forward commitment. Thanks so much, Dino.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. Unbelievable. So there seems to be quite a lot happening with financial literacy, home buying education. As a consumer, why would someone want to go for a mortgage with Chase?
So what I'm going to do there is if I could, I'd like to maybe start with, Ashley spoke about what we're kind of doing nationally. And I think it's important for everybody in the audience to understand truly what's happening locally there in Boston as well. So we do have an individual, Marion Crean, who's been very, very instrumental already in that space for the last couple of years. So she was kind of ahead of it before even kind of Chase put all this focus on it. So what I'd like to do now is have Marion speak a little bit to some of the things that she's been doing right there within the community in Boston. So Marion?
Yes, hi, good morning, and thank you, Paul and Dino. It really has been a very exciting time to be a part of Chase and involved with our community in the Boston area. And since coming to the Boston market over 2 years ago, which seems very quick, Chase has been involved in community efforts. And the spirit of our community programs we partner with is really focused on financial literacy and home buyer education. We've established relationships with several nonprofit agencies, including Urban Edge, Alston Brighton CDC, and Lawrence Community Works. And these programs create and preserve affordable housing. They support community leadership, and they provide home buyers with the tools and resources to reach their financial and home ownership goals. Additionally, it's not just all about home ownership. we are involved in education support with a number of community organizations, including the Year Up program and Project Hope. Year Up prepares young people with hands-on training, corporate access, and a 6-month internship. Many of these students have actually interned with Chase, and they're now our employees. So it's really exciting when I'm in a branch and I'm meeting one of the bankers who's been through the Year Up program. Project Hope is a multi-service program servicing women and providing them access to education programs, jobs, and housing. And so we've been very excited to be part of that program as well. So we really view education as a key to empowerment and success on many levels. And Chase continues to support these programs both nationally and locally. So thank you again.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Marion. Boston is one of the fastest growing cities in the country with a booming housing market. How is Chase differentiating itself from other lenders in the market? As a realtor, what programs or support does Chase offer me that might appeal to my buyers, encourage me to direct your way?
Yeah, so Dino, if I could, what I'd like to do is really talk about what we're doing, as a consumer. What even if you're not just in the affordable lending space, why choose Chase as a mortgage? But then secondly, with all the projects going on in Boston and the fast growing projects and building going on in Boston, it's one of the most expansive real estate markets in the world right now. And so what I'd like to do is I actually want to call on Sandeep Rajguru. He's going to talk a little bit about why would you want to do a mortgage with Chase? And then what we'll do is I'd like to have Jason Tack say a few words about the projects and the different things we're doing within those projects. So kind of from a consumer standpoint, and then we'll appeal to the audience and maybe tell you a little bit why as a realtor you'd want to maybe think about Chase. So Sandeep.
Hi, Dino and Paul. Thanks for having us here. This is just a great opportunity for us. I just want to go over, as Chase is expanding into this market, they brought a couple of programs that a lot of consumers can take advantage of. One of them is our relationship pricing program, where if you bring money to Chase, assets in banking or checking, we would actually give you a decent discount depending on the loan size. One of the other programs we do have is if you are a Chase private client, depending on the balance you have with us, there's an opportunity to get a rate discount that way also. So we do have the rate discount programs. One of the things that coincides with what Ashley was talking about is we have a program which is called a Dream Maker program, where to people who are in a low to moderate area, and depending on income, can actually get very good rates on their mortgages, as well as very low PMI. That's one of the big advantages of the Dream Maker. You can put down as low as 3% and still get a very low PMI. And then the last thing I want to talk about is what Ashley touched upon was the grant program. Chase has brought in about $4 billion into the market initially, and now they're adding through this other grant program where it is basically house specific. So there are houses in different areas, as well as not just single family homes, but multifamily homes, that if consumers buy them, they do get a credit of either $2,500 or $5,000. And that's basically for community reinvestment. So if you look in, just as an example, if you look in East Boston, most of the houses that are for sale in that area, as well as the apartments, they do get a $2,500 grant automatically for buying those. So that's just one example. If you do have houses that you are looking, that your customers are looking at, please reach out to a Chase banker and see, does that house qualify for an either $2,500 or a $5,000 grant? And it's free money for the customer. So these are just some of the basic programs that we have of why you'd want to start using Chase, or at least reach out to a Chase banker to see what they can offer you depending on your situation. Jason, I'll pass it off to you.
Thanks, San. Thank you, Dino and Paul, and thanks everybody for being out there today. I just wanted to talk a little bit about what we're doing on the new construction side. I know everybody has seen the cranes in the sky all over Boston for the last, I can't even imagine, 8 to 10 years. So At this point in time, I kind of want to give you an idea as agents what Chase is trying to do to help you guys close more business, right? Because that's the name of the game here. So I think the first thing that I would like to bring up is the fact that when we look at new construction condominiums, whether or not it's from a 2 to 4 unit standpoint, or we're talking about 100 units, Chase has an actual project group that will assist the developer in correctly writing the documents, which is so key up front. So the building is ready to go when it's done from a mortgage standpoint, right? We find underwriting process that we've been working on where we build relationships with folks that are going to be doing the work in the property, such as appraisers, right? We actually shrink that pool. So we make sure that all the appraisers are familiar with these projects, right? You don't get somebody from Turo coming up to appraise a property in Boston that has absolutely no idea about it. Now, obviously we follow all the rest of the guidelines, but we're simply trying to improve the process, right, that we do to do this. So all of these, like I said, from a small unit standpoint, 2 to 4 or 100 plus, will get the same assistance from Chase. Our condo approval department is fantastic, and you can really help your sellers and buyers by dealing with us prior to actually having a client that wants to buy in there. We can do approvals on the condos to get them approved prior to having anybody. So as soon as you send them over, they're ready to go. So that's something from a new construction standpoint, I think is excellent. Also to touch on, a lot of lenders cannot be first in, which means they can't close. They can't be the first one to close in there. And Chase can. We have a gigantic portfolio that we can utilize. So we basically lend to our own guidelines. Now, that's not to say we don't have underwriting criteria that you need to meet, but we will do things that other lenders can't just because we can loan our own funds. So I think that's something that everybody should be thoughtful of when you're out in the marketplace today, given the fact of how many new construction projects there are. Another thing, and I know San touched on it briefly, was relationship pricing. That relationship pricing discount is absolutely phenomenal. How would you like to be the agent that referred their customer over and they ended up getting 1/4 to 1/2 point off of their mortgage rate for the entire term of their loan? That's hundreds of dollars over the entire life of their loan. It's a great way for you to earn a client for life, right? Every one of us wants to generate those referral sources. And by giving us the opportunity and by saving that client money, you can definitely do that with this program, okay? The last thing that I wanted to cover is our 21-day closing guarantee, which is actually the only one in the industry that I'm aware of. We have a 21-day closing guarantee, and obviously the customer needs to provide all required documentation up front. But if they do that, we're going to close their loan, regardless, single family, condo, whatever it is, or we're going to give them $2,500. This is an opportunity for you to have your clients compete with cash buyers, right? And how great is that? Because everybody is low contingencies, cash buyers are winning all the bids. This is an opportunity for you to structure a deal with your customer to compete with those other customers that every other lender can't, right? So, customers are obviously subject to underwriting criteria and guidelines and meeting program parameters, but these are just a couple of things that I think, would be beneficial for the agents in Boston to know about. I urge you to reach out to one of us, one of your Chase team here in Boston, to go over the programs and products. And we look forward to working with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Great information. San, I have to admit, so I have a condo coming on the market in a couple of weeks in East Boston. I would love to have would you provide some rate sheets for my COVID-friendly open house, just so I could actually communicate that information to direct buyers walking into my property? That would be brilliant.
Yeah, I would love to do that. It's very simple to do.
We'll hook up afterwards. And I'm having anxiety about those appraisals, Jason. Like you said, I just had a situation that the appraiser was literally an hour away, and they just scheduled an appointment with me, and I called the lender and I said, this is not going to work. I mean, it's just unfortunate when you hear that stuff. So it's obviously evident that there's a lot happening with Chase in the Boston market and the commitment that the firm has with us. Would you consider this somewhat of a relaunch, especially after our situation last year?
Yeah, so it's a great question. When we were talking the other day, Dino, about this, obviously there's been all kinds of challenges tied to COVID and tied to the pandemic. We've actually been business as usual for the most part. And candidly, I joke with folks because they say, what are the challenges? And it's kind of been a double-edged sword for us because we're dealing with COVID, like everybody else, but then we're also dealing with historically low interest rates. So, and as you guys all know out there in the audience, we also have clients that want it still done yesterday, despite COVID and the challenges that we have. So we're doing our best to make sure that we maintain our levels of customer service to the best of our ability. So I don't really think it's a relaunch, but I would say when you look at the Boston market as a whole, I would really look at it as a renewed focus, okay? Because that was a market that we had vacated at one point in time. And now, if you can't tell, we're back in there like gangbusters. We're so excited to be back in there. The commitment that we've given to Boston and New England as a whole right now is just, second to nobody. It's our largest expansion market, as I mentioned before. And I want to share with you guys two really quick stats that when I first heard these, I was like, wow. So one of them is that as a consumer, that every 1 out of 2 consumers has something with Chase. So I've only been with Chase for 3 years. And I remember when that stat was first given to me, and I went, well, I'm one of the 50% that doesn't. And I said, wait a minute. Oh, my daughter's 529's handled by Chase. So I said, so there you go. So I was a Chase client and I didn't even realize it. And then the other one, before we even broke ground in the Boston market with our Dedham branch, as I mentioned before, back in December of 2018, we already had 10,000 mortgage customers on the books that before we even opened a branch. So needless to say, we already had a major presence there. And now what we're trying to do is not only generate new business with clients out there in Boston, but also maintain the existing business that was already there before we started. So to answer your question, relaunch, probably not, but renewed focus that is extremely focused right now. I would say that's probably more fitting, Dino.
All right, awesome. So we're at 10:22. This is perfect timing. Why don't we, so how can we get in touch with you guys? How should we do this? Any thoughts on maybe how, I'm just trying to think how we can get connected with each individual person. So San and Jason, are they on the ground?
Yeah, so the best way to do this, I think, would be for everybody to utilize the Chase website. Every one of us has a very specific Chase website that every customer, agent, anybody that's looking for mortgage information can go to. And what they can do is they can request general information from us. They'll have all of our contact information, including email, cell phone, all of that information, so that they can have a conversation with us in the event they choose to, right? But the Chase website, and we're really big on this as well, it allows you to actually submit your application right there on the spot, right? So it's a great tool for customers. It's a great tool for agents who are looking to get in touch with us. So if you put in the zip code that you're looking in or the zip code that you are in, it'll bring up all of the Chase loan officers in the area. And then your agents can select which one of us they would like to talk with.
Okay, great. Our staff just mentioned in the chat box that they're going to be sharing all your personal web pages. So that's awesome. If anyone has any questions other than that, I think we can possibly wrap it up. Paul, unless you have anything else.
No, just if I could real quick, because Jason just triggered something, that digital platform that he mentions, that's really, really instrumental and important to us here at Chase. And we're having great success with that. Candidly, what COVID did force us to do is really take a look at that digital platform even closer and utilize it even more, to the point where we've expanded that platform tremendously within Chase. And what it's doing is it's twofold. It's reducing the turn time that it takes from start to finish by a client starting digitally, but more importantly, it's reducing their turn time, but it keeps everything efficient and moving swiftly, because we're not really dealing with paper, we're dealing with digital. And so it just makes everything that much easier. And again, COVID, because we're all working remotely for the most part, it just helped, it helped us as a whole conduct business, and we didn't skip a beat with that. So we're really driving that hard right now. And we have a tremendous digital platform through, it's called Chase My Apply, and then Chase My Home, where you can actually upload all your information, and you literally don't have to, there's no need for any paper whatsoever. So
it's the general website, chase.com, and that's how you go in and then type in your zip code, or what's the navigating tool?
You can go into chase.com, and then you can look into the section on mortgage, and you can track it that way. Or if any of my people, if there's anything that I'm missing, please feel free to pipe in.
All right, awesome. And Paul and team, I really want to, again, thank you guys for your support with the Greater Boston Association of Realtors. We have about 11,000 members that are going to be helping you guys become more successful, and you're going to help us with our clients, and we really appreciate your support, and looking forward to doing business with you in the future. Thank you so much.
As are
Thank
we.
you,
Thanks,
Dino.
Dino. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
You have a great day.
Thanks, Dino.